tonight. One is ordinance 2020-07, which approves and consents to a First Amendment to lease agreement by and among Greenwood County and Eaton Corporation. The second is ordinance 2020-08, which amends the village and cottages at Palmetto Crossing Plan Development District so that the Plan Development District Master Plan will allow pavilion and golf cart parking. I tell you that to let you know that if anybody is here to speak to those two matters, we will open public hearing on each one and allow any and every one to speak on those two matters. If there's another matter on the agenda that is not under a public hearing and you would wish to speak, and I assume that many of you do, the only thing that you have to do is come and sign the public comment form stating your name and the item that you would like to speak to. I know that there are a number of people here who want to speak to the business matter, and I will read it. Ordinance 2020-01, which amends the Greenwood County zoning ordinance so that if it's amended, one parcel of land, 15.28 acres owned by Hamilton Park Apartments, LLC, located at 212 Langley Road, changes the zoning classification from R1 single family residential to C2 general commercial to R6 multifamily residential. I am going to go through the first parts of our agenda, which is to call to order, have an invocation, have a pledge of allegiance, and deal with the minutes from our last meeting. And then I'm going to move to that matter on Langley Road. Normally on first reading, we take first reading and title only. But since I know that there are a number of you who have signed up to comment, I'm going to ask the planning director, Phil Lambert, to come forward before I allow any of you to speak and explain to council what has occurred up to this point. That would mean what the request is, who requested it, what they're requesting, the actions of the planning board, and any other information that he would like to share. And then I will take the public comment sheet and I will recognize any and all people who are on there. Realize there's a number of you, and if everybody spoke 15 minutes, you understand what would happen. So we ask you to be observant of your time. Say any and everything you want to say to us, but say it as brief as you possibly can. And I promise you we will listen to each of you. So I will do that, and you're welcome to stay after that. But I feel like with this number of crowd, we're still trying to social distance. So if I can handle that and some of you want to leave, it may help us with our social distancing. So if anybody has a big problem with that, let me know now, and I'll just go straight down the agenda. But I think that's the best for us tonight. So appreciate your patience, and it is 4 o'clock, and I want to call the meeting to order. And I want to welcome each and every one of you here, and appreciate you taking your time to be here tonight. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, the date, the time, the location, and the agenda of this meeting has been posted on the front entrance of the Greenwood County Courthouse and also on the front entrance of the Greenwood County Library. A copy of that agenda has been made available to the media and also has been posted on the county's website. With that being said, I am going to ask Councilwoman Melissa Spencer to give our invocation, and following her invocation, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. So ask everyone if you can to please stand.
Let's pray. Gracious God our Father, at this hour we boldly approach the throne of grace to give thanks and praise on behalf of our community, city and county officials, our state and local government, our school districts, firefighters, military personnel, EMS workers, healthcare staff, and all those who place their lives daily on the line to promote a positive, safe environment. As we come together to discuss the business of this community, may you give us the wisdom that is needed to make sound decisions as we represent this county. My prayer is that you will allow us to be leaders that are honest, righteous, and God-fearing so that our constituents will know that we care about them and their well-being. Lord, may you continue to heal this community in the midst of this pandemic. restore faith, restore homes, restore jobs, and bring this community back together so that we will learn to function under the new norms of this life. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions. Where there are questions, give answers. Where there is weakness, give strength. Where there is evil, override it with good. Where there is chaos, give order. And where there is conflict, grant peace. Continue to remind us that all that we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of our community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one member of our council who is with us by video conferencing tonight, and that is Councilman Robbie Templeton. We have also, as part of our agenda, submitted to the public that they have the option to submit written comments. And I will tell you that I have some written comments that I will be reading into the record tonight that have been submitted to the staff prior to this meeting. If anyone has a written comment that either is from another individual or you would like to submit, now is the time, because at the public comment section, I will be reading these written statements into the record. Council, you have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the May 5th, 2020 regular meeting. If there are no changes to those minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve. And before I receive that, since Mr. Templeton is on video tonight, I'm going to ask that all of our votes be by roll call. I know that may be a little cumbersome, but at least it gives us an opportunity for everyone to express themselves. So I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved, Jim.
Motion by Ms. Childs and a second by Mr. Lane. I'm going to ask the clerk to roll call on approval of the minutes.
Councilwoman Childs?
Aye.
Councilman Allison?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer?
Aye.
Chairman Brown?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats?
Aye.
Councilman Templeton?
Aye.
Councilman Lane?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, I am going to do as I said I would prior to calling the meeting to order, and I am going to skip to item F, number 2, which is first reading on ordinance 2020-10, amending the Greenwood County zoning ordinance so that one parcel of land, 15.2 acres, owned by Hamilton Park Apartments, LLC, located at 212 Langley Road, to change zoning classifications from R1 single family and C2 commercial to R6 multifamily residential. That is first reading in title only. Now that some of you want to speak to that matter, I'm going to our sign sheet and I'm going to call you and let you make your comments. No, let me ask Mr. Lindler to come forward first. I'm about to get ahead of myself. Mr. Lindler? Would you give an overview of this request?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request by Hamilton Park Apartments, LLC. They are the owner of record for the property, 15.28 acres at 212 Langley Road. The request, as currently presented, is R1 single-family residential and C2 general commercial. The property is split, and the request is to R6 multifamily residential. This allows for up to 16 units an acre. Currently, the C2 general commercial allows for an R6 standard of 16 units an acre. It defers to the R6. It also allows for commercial and retail uses on the property. About 2/3 of that property is zoned C2. The other third is R1. The Planning Commission looked at the request. The intention of Hamilton Park is to develop it as apartments. And they want to utilize the site in full as residential. They have no intentions to utilize it for commercial. So in order to make everything with the property comprehensive in scope, they want to rezone the property to R6 as what it's intended to be. At the Planning Commission, one person spoke in favor and 10 people spoke in opposition, and the Planning Commission will recommend denying.
Let me ask one question, and then I'll see if council members have any questions of you, Bill. Would you explain, it's my understanding that the developer went to the Board of Zoning Appeals and asked for either one or two variances. Would you explain what happened at the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes, there were a number of items that were presented at the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting based on their original plan. They dealt with buffers, they dealt with setbacks, and orientation of the buildings. Since that time, they've modified the site plan, and so there's no need for a variance. And so the issue that the Board of Zoning Appeals heard really is moot at this point.
Okay, my next question would be, at this time, as we speak, if the portion that already allows the apartments, what is the buffer requirements that the county will enforce?
It's a type E buffer, and it goes anywhere from 75 feet to 30 feet based on the number of plantings, whether they're going to have a wall or not have a wall. The 70 feet is with nothing in it, which is basically a distance only buffer. If it's changed, the entire property would be restricted to a type E buffer.
Okay, so minimum would be 30, and that would include some type of planted or natural
Yes, sir.
buffer?
Intense plantings, and would include a wall or
Okay,
fence.
so it's not 20, it's 30.
30.
Okay. It was my understanding that they also asked for a height variance. Can you address that?
Yes, with the C2, there's a height restriction there, but with an R6, there is no height restriction.
So if the R6 is not granted, what would be the height that would be enforced?
It would be based on the C2 standard, which I don't know exactly, can't off the top of my head remember that, but I could certainly provide that to you. But at this
If
point,
R6 is approved, then it would go to what height?
I believe it's 35, but I'm going to have to check it
35.
out.
I've heard 40, but
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying it may be 35.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other actions regarding this request that council needs to be made aware of?
There is some history related to the project, and that's all outlined within your packet. The individual does intend to speak at your public hearing in 2 weeks.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions of Bill?
Mr. Chairman, what was the recommendation of the planning board?
It was denied.
It was denied by the planning.
Yes.
And as it presently sets, they can put apartments on it, but it limits as to how many can be put on.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Phil.
Sure.
Under our public comments, then I am going to ask each of you that have signed up to come and speak, and please be mindful of our time. The first person's name that I see on the list is Jimmy Haney, who lives at 812 Old Apple Highway. And I would make it known that Mr. Haney give me a copy of this document this afternoon prior to the meeting and asked me to distribute it to each member. And each of you should have it, and I would ask the clerk to make sure that Mr. Templeton receives it after this meeting. Mr. Haney, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for each one of y'all to be up here today.
You may want to speak up, Jimmy.
Okay, hope we don't get sick today. And Mr. Allison, and my condolences to your brother. Okay, now down to business. My family bought the adjacent property back in 1941. We've had cows and horse running on all our lives. We're single story dwellings out there. The area adjacent to the residential, my daughter built, moved into it 1 year ago today. A nice home. She moved into our property so she could take care of her mom and dad. when this was, I'm gonna ramble, I know. When it was brought up before about changing the portion that is commercial, I was in support of it. But the portion that's up there for residential, the Townsend brothers, well, Miss Gladys Townsend, she said that she wanted it to stay residential. And the Townsend brothers addressed that same thing, they wanted it to be residential. But now we've got a new owner. And y'all are gonna be the one responsible. My daughter has a son who's 9 years old. He's autistic. He's a trotter. He runs up and down those fences out there. He does not need a 42.5-foot building. Not whatever, 35. He does not need a 42.5-foot building looking down on him and getting his attention all the time. She built down here in the country with us, with neighbors that we've known for the past 50 years. I could go on and on with reasons about why I want that to be left residential. And putting up a 6-foot fence against a 42.5-foot building is like you putting up a 6-foot fence out here trying to hide this building right here we're in right now. Not gonna hide much. And we were told it was a 20-foot buffer with a 6-foot fence. If we could get more of a buffer, leave that residential, I don't want to see this, but we can live with it. We can be good neighbors, they can be good neighbors. They can make $250,000 a month. And I'll live out the rest of my life there. But I don't want to walk out the door every day looking at the front or the back of an apartment building. I don't want their children throwing stuff over the fence into my pasture and my cows getting choked on it. I don't want them to have to throw it back over their fence either. Thank you, each one.
Thank you. The next item that I see for this matter, or the next name is, I believe, Mr. Coleman, Eddie Coleman. Is that right? Would you like to come forward and speak, sir?
Okay. Good afternoon, how y'all doing?
Great.
My name is Eddie Coleman. I live on the old Abbeville Highway and Langley Road, right there at the fork where they come in together. I've been there 73 years in June. Seen a lot of changes and come out there and all, but one of the things I wanted to talk about was, like Jimmy was saying, we have grown accustomed to all these years being out there of seeing forest and all the other wildlife that's out in the area. But one of the things that I was going to say to you is, I want you to listen. That's silence. That's what we're going to lose. That's what we're going to lose. Can't have it. When I was a park ranger, I remember people coming in at Kings Mountain when I was living up there, and I said, what do y'all enjoy coming out here? They were from Charlotte. They said, we got to get away. We've got to get away from all that big developments and everything. We've got to get away. When I was at Santee working down there as a ranger, the Marine drill instructors would come up there to say, and I said, you guys like coming up here? And they said, we got to get away. They said, all the hell we were getting out from all the people there, the recruits that we was trying to train. And I thought to myself, that's it. You can get too big. And that's what we don't want. We don't want that to be there. You know, and so that's the thing that I'm just speaking about is you don't know what you got until you lose it. And we don't want to lose it. So y'all please pray about it and think about it, and y'all have a good blessed day.
Thank you. Mr. Keith Sperry.
Keith Sperry, I live at 221 Langley Road, directly across from this new development going on. Lived on the road all my life. I don't understand why we're going to take a piece of land in the middle of a residential neighborhood and change it to a multifamily or C2 when everything around it's residential and has been. Now, if this is on Calhoun, which the commercial part is on Calhoun, I agree it's commercial. But the back part's residential and always has been, always will be, we hope. So I appreciate your time and I hope your thoughts and prayers go with leaving it residential. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dewey Sprouse.
Thank you, Council. Dewey Sprouse, live at 811 Old Apple Highway. Members of my family have been on the Old Apple Highway for 73 years. The reason we love the Old Apple Highway because it's close in, but then you think you're in the country. I'd like to ask each one of you to ride down there and just think, would you like to come out on your front porch every morning and see 45 feet high? The trees are not going to cover that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Randy McDaniel.
Randy McDaniel, 1611 Old Abbeville Highway. I'm one of the newer residents on the Old Abbeville Highway. I've been there 23 years. We bought it because of R1, single family, and we like for it to remain that way just because of quietness and convenience of town. And we hope you'll listen to that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Mr. Gray Ackerman.
Good afternoon. My name is Gray Ackerman, 1714 Old Abbeville Highway. I've been living on this tract of land for 30 years now. And the reason I moved out there was the same reason all these folks have been living there, is we have pastures, we have ponds, we have cattle. It's an outdoor type setting, a farm type setting, but yet it's close into town. And I guess that's one reason that this development company wants to come in and build these 40 odd feet tall apartments, which in essence I think is way too tall, and it's going to be way too many people in such a small area, particularly for the times that we live in. All the uncertainty that's going on in the world, it just seems like it's probably not a good time to be doing this. We're going to be living with the new norm, and I think it's time to start considering this new norm that we're going to be living with and dealing with, and not try to contribute more problems as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Collins.
Hello, I'm Crystal Collins. I live directly beside the proposed residential place. There's just a few things I want to say. I grew up on this land. We're the ones that built the house a year ago. We do have 3 children, one of which is autistic. He is a runner, trotter, whatever you want to call it. He's gotten out several times. We have chain locks. He's a flight risk for us, and my consideration is safety of my children. We already have a busy road out there, and if you add more apartments, then it just gets worse. And my fear as a mom is having a child get out on the road and get missing or get hit because he doesn't understand safety. The trees are wonderful. It gives him kind of some peace and quiet. We go out there every day after school, and he runs and plays and gets off some energy. And I fear that his routine will be uprooted, and it'll be a challenge to get him to be able to calm down some. We did move out there for the peacefulness of it. I always say my blood pressure lowers every time I walk on that pasture. I've grown up with cows and lived out there my whole life until I got married, and I'm thankful to be back out there. They've talked about the privacy fence, as other people have mentioned. They do say it's a 6-foot privacy fence. I mean, I can stand on my tiptoes and look over 6 feet. My garage opens up to that where the proposed apartments would be. So I've also, we live in a crazy world, and if you have people looking in and knowing your routines and watching your children in your garage, and that makes me fearful. And then also, my thing, I'm sure there will be apartments there. The Lord has given me peace about that. I am asking for a compromise. They're talking about the type E buffer, which are small plants. I am asking, can we leave some buffer of natural trees. Leave the trees there 25 feet and put their buffer 25 feet. They don't want to look up at me any more than I want to look at them, I'm sure. So I just ask for your consideration.
Thank you. The next is Mr. Les Brown. Les, I have a letter from you. Did you speak? Do you still want to read the letter, or will you cover
No,
the points?
No, I can,
Okay.
if I remember all the points, I
Okay.
appreciate that. No, my name is Les Brown. I live at 817 Old Abbeville Highway. And it just mirror what a lot of us have already said. You take a drive down that road, I'm sure many of you have. It certainly doesn't feel like either Langley or Old Abbeville feel like a road you would build apartments on. It's very rural feel to it, lots of farmland, lots of residential single-family homes. But no, to speak to the point of the letter that I emailed everyone on the council, I do have a couple of concerns. One is property values. I certainly don't see how this wouldn't have a negative impact on my property value. If I was shopping for a home, I don't know that I would purchase my home today if it was across from an apartment complex of this magnitude. In addition to that, I question the actual need in Greenwood of this volume of new apartment buildings. I know that prior to the COVID situation, there was a shortage of middle-class family homes in Greenwood, and we were doing some building, and we were starting to see some improvement there as people were moving out of condos and apartments and making that next step into a single-family home. And I myself, over the last 10 years, have seen massive growth in both apartments over near Lakeview behind Walmart and down Halterwanger and all of those areas with condos. And I'd certainly like to understand, what kind of research goes into, just allowing that type of growth and development in Greenwood. I'm a Greenwood native, and I want to see Greenwood grow. I want new business to come in, and I understand that you've got to do things to attract that. You've got to provide attractive housing and shopping and things for those businesses to come to Greenwood. And I don't want to, stop that in any way. I just want to see, these assets being built in the appropriate manner in the appropriate place. And again, drive down Langley or Old Abbeville and tell me that you feel that's an appropriate place for apartments, because I challenge you that it is. But no, appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last person that I have on the list is Vanessa Taylor. Ms. Taylor, I also have a letter from you. I won't read your letter unless you request me to.
No, I don't request it. Yes, I'm Vanessa Taylor, and I live on 905 Old Abbeville Highway, and I'm directly across the field where the apartments would be. It would be the back of the apartments that I would view. And I built there years ago for the same reasons most everybody else is out there, is for the rural residential area, to feel like you're out in the country but yet close in. What I'm asking for is an additional constraints, such as a tree buffer on Old Abbeville Highway, and that fence line, as Ms. Crystal was asking for too, that we just have a tree buffer so we don't have to see these tall apartments across the way. And I was just gonna see if we could ask the builder for that. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have I omitted anyone who signed these sheets? I think everybody has been able to speak. At our next council meeting, which will be June 2nd, there will be a formal public hearing for this matter prior to second reading. You're welcome to return at that meeting, and any and everyone, you don't have to sign the public comments, any and everyone will be able to speak. It takes 3 readings for something to become law. So second reading next month, council can either vote to approve it on second reading, or they can vote to deny it on second reading. So that will be when there will be some type of action after the public hearing at the next meeting. I thank you for coming. We have heard you loudly. Our phone numbers are posted on the website. Many of you know us by first name. I was asked this afternoon to visit the property. I, for one, have been to Langley Road today. I have gotten in a pickup truck and ridden the land, so I know a little bit more today than I knew earlier in the day. So Maybe you would issue the same invitation to the other members of council, so it's different when you see it. It's different when you see it, so. We're going to close this part of our agenda. You're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the evening, or you may at this time leave, and we will see you back at June the 2nd meeting. Thank you for coming.
Ms. Collins, can I speak to you briefly?
Carmen. I'm going to call our meeting back to order, and at this time, we're going to conduct 2 public hearings on second reading. The first public hearing will be ordinance 2020-07, authorizing, approving, and consenting to a First Amendment to lease agreement by and among Greenwood County and Eaton Corporation and other matters. Madam Attorney, do you have anything to add before we open it up for public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, just to refresh everyone's recollection, this is an expansion for Eaton. It's a $13 million new investment and 30 new jobs. They are moving one line to a location in the county and expanding the line at Maxwell Avenue. The request of this particular ordinance, or what this particular ordinance would do, is amend their existing agreement so that when they move their machinery, that it will be covered under that agreement. So it's not offering any additional incentives. It's just making sure that that property is still covered when they move it. You have 2 additional items later on your agenda that I can address now, or we can wait until that point.
Okay, let's just wait at that time. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of ordinance 2020-07? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Then hearing none, I will ask that the public hearing for this matter be closed and ask council, what is your wishes on second reading? Do I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve, Chairman.
Second. Motion by Mr. Lane and a second by Dr. Moats. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Childs?
In favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Allison?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer? Chairman Brown?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats?
Aye.
Councilman Templeton?
Aye.
Councilman Lane?
Aye.
So the matter has passed unanimously. The second public hearing is ordinance 2020-08, which amends the villages and cottages at Palmetto Crossing Plan Development District, being ordinance 2018-13, as and if amended so that the Plan Development District Master Plan will allow a pavilion and golf cart parking. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Yes, sir.
Chairman Brown, members of council, I'm Craig Stuckey, 504 Lodge Drive. When this came up before, I voted against it or was not in favor of it. Since that time, you, ladies and gentlemen, have passed the ordinance on soil erosion on Lake Greenwood, and my good neighbor Bill is here, and I'm sure he will comply with all of that. And if he has any questions on it, I'm sure Mr. Rushing will be glad to explain it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Hearing none, then I will close that public hearing and I will ask council, what is your pleasure on second reading?
Mr. Chairman, I give you a motion to approve.
I have a motion from Mr. Allison to approve.
Second, Chairman.
I have a second by Mr. Lane to approve. Is there any questions or comments by council before we call for a vote?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would say is, the developer has been building some townhouses out there, and I do think this adds value to them and will attract more people to the area. And I think the county has invested a lot of money already in this area. And any more development we can get out there definitely will enhance the project. So I would like to consider doing this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Heard comments from Mr. Allison. Are there any others? Madam Clerk, would you give the roll call?
Councilwoman Childs?
Aye.
Councilman Allison?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer? Chairman Brown?
No.
Vice Chairman Moats?
No.
Councilman Templeton? Councilman Lane?
Aye.
The motion passes 5-2 on second reading. Our next item of business is to hear an update from the county treasurer's office. Our county treasurer, Kathy Miller, is here.
Mr. Chairman, last month I sent you an electronic copy of the results for March. What you're looking at today would be the update for April. In front of you in the packet, I always like to give you a financial kind of a dashboard approach, if you will. You have a detailed schedule that shows you that the receivables balance at the end of April was $1.4 million. I'm happy to report that after a couple of phone calls and emails and text messages, that balance is now down to $560,000. So that's what aggressive accounts receivable management is all about. Bank balances, you also have a report in front of you on that shows you that the total amount of monies by the county, controlled by the county, also the court sheriff's office, the total amount of money is at approximately $109 million in various accounts, and you'll see the various institutions that those accounts are in. I did want to call out for you on this one. I'll do this every month going forward, is I've given you a little more detail of what some of these accounts are for, just in case there's questions, so that you can look at. And this month I'm carving out for you some detail on the sheriff's department accounts, which are restricted and which ones are unrestricted, and a little bit of a description of what they can be used for. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. Let me go on to the next item, is to tell you that our general fund balance at the end of April was $11.8 million, and I've shown you a roll forward of that beginning balance from July 1st and what we've collected in revenue and year-to-date expenses. So we appear to be on track to finish our year, maybe a little favorable to budget actually, and we'll give you an update again next month. I can tell you that the fiscal 21 budget, the proposal has been completed, and I think the process went very well. I will defer to county manager for that one, so I think it was a very good process this year. And I also have attached a copy for your information of the public notice that appeared in the paper on this past Friday, is my understanding. From a COVID-19 perspective, we're doing a lot of tracking and reporting of expenses. Today we had to do one report. We spent about $55,000 so far in PPE and cleaning supplies, janitorial, and some labor-related expenses. So we fully intend to collect as much as we can back from certain grants. FEMA has grants. The Bureau of Justice has grants. So we should be in pretty good financial shape when all this passes through with the grant opportunities that are available to us. So we're working those very aggressively in the Treasurer's office. Also, here we go, it's almost audit time. So it seems like it was yesterday, but we're in a very good position this year to begin some testing, probably in the month of June. Even though the fiscal year ends in June, they like to come and do some pre-advanced testing, which we were not able to do last year, is my understanding. So I think it's going to be a very smooth audit process. I won't go through everything else on the list for you. We did a capital project review for this fiscal year, the status, where are we in spending for this year's projects, trying to drive those to completion, what's going to be carried forward or not carried forward. So we're trying to work with everybody on that one. There's a tax collector's report to tell you that for the month of April, we collected about $850,000 in automobile taxes, which that's a fairly normal month for us, and then property taxes, another $1 million. So just showing you from that perspective how much money is still rolling through. the office and from the delinquent tax collector's perspective, I wanted to point out that we mailed out over 2,200 certified letters regarding delinquent taxes. So that process is in full swing as well. And if people don't, the phone has been ringing off the hook for Ms. Davis. I can say that with people questioning why they're receiving these letters, and hopefully we'll get a lot of that money back in before the signs go up in the yards July 1st. And as an update on staffing, one of our staff members is now training to be the backup on the delinquent tax process. That was a real void for us. And we also have payroll backup as well now, which was another void originally a few months ago. So those were two key positions that did not really have a significant backup, and that is now in place. And that concludes my treasurer's report. Any questions?
Any questions by council? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Can I ask a question, Ms. Miller? Can you give us an update on the capital project sales tax revenue? Where are we in that?
We collected a payment about 3 weeks ago, which was a substantial payment. It was one of the larger ones. We have not really seen the impact potentially of what may happen in the next quarterly payment,
Yes.
but the last payment was strong. So I can't give you the detail of what the current fund balance is, but no, it's certainly on track with where the original projections were going to be until we know what the next quarter is going to do. There is, of course, some conversation around maybe you think about sales not being as high, but then you look at the online sales market and what's going on there. It's been very, very strong. So we really don't know what's going to be happening from, a sales tax perspective to offset online sales versus, the local sales and whatnot. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Our next item of business is a consideration of Greenwood County's membership in the Greenwood Partnership Alliance for FY 2021. I will revert back to my public comments, and I have one person who has requested to be able to make some comments about this individual agenda item, and that is Mr. Art Bush. Mr. Bush?
Is Mr. Chapter going to make his comments first?
Sir?
Mr. Chapter going to make his presentation first?
Can you hear your chair?
Are you making
I
the
was under
presentation?
the impression that Mr. Chapter was going to make the presentation. No. Pardon me? No. Okay, fine.
I'm Art Bush, CPW Commissioner. I'm on here and on behalf of the Commission, and I have a public notice that I'd like to put in the record, and I'll read this. The Commissioners of CPW feel very strongly that the Greenwood Partnership Alliance, as it is now structured and financed, is one of the best, if not best, in the state of South Carolina, as well as the southeastern United States. The alliance of the private sector, public sector, and the alliance staff forms a team that has had and continues to have some great success. We are aware that many issues that exist in the organization and feel that solutions are available to keep the structure of the organization together. As with all teams, differences can and do arise. These differences have created wounds to members of the county and the alliance, and however, we believe that wounds need to be healed, not made larger. The structure functions like a stool with 3 legs, all keeping the stool from falling over. If one leg gets longer, shorter, or removed, the stool loses its ability to function properly. With that in mind, we make the following proposal. We ask the county to table item 2 in the new proposal, which is now item B. We propose that we set up weekly meetings with the county manager, the CEO of the Partnership Alliance, a facilitator, and a scribe to record all meeting notes. We offer a CPW conference room, a scribe, and a facilitator for the meetings. The facilitator will be selected and approved by the Executive Committee of the Partnership Alliance. The meetings will be held from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. starting once a week until all parties agree that the meetings can be modified in length, time, or frequency. CPW will provide a meal. The county manager and the Alliance CEO will agree on a day to hold these meetings. Meeting number 1 we begin with both parties openly discussing their issues from both parties' perspectives. Actions taken will be developed to work on mutually agreeable solutions. We will seek consensus on all issues. The facilitator will report to the Alliance Executive Committee the results of the process and seek input to issues the committee feels need to be addressed by both parties. We look forward to a long and successful economic development alliance for the people of Greenwood County and their surrounding communities. This is from the 3 commissioners of CPW.
Thank you, Mr. Bush.
And I'll give you these 2 copies and have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 letters that have been submitted, and I will read them and make them part of the record. Dear Chairman Brown, I am writing you in support of the county continuing its level of financial support of the Greenwood Partnership Alliance. The organization needs the county to be a partnership. I acknowledge that there have been and remain some conflicts of will and other disagreements, none of which should be insurmountable to continue a partnership that provides such a large return on investment to the citizens of Greenwood County. This partnership, lowercase, is necessary in order for the partnership, uppercase, to continue. I wish to address some facts that have possibly not been discussed. The partnership staff has been very involved in obtaining grants that have and will benefit the county of Greenwood. Most people would state that the partnership primarily seeks industrial growth opportunities through assisting the expansion of our existing industries or seeking new industries to come to our community, a record for which our partnership can be proud. However, I submit that Greenwood County has received noticeable returns from receiving grants for which the partnership has applied. Some examples include North Greenwood Industrial Park, where we received $600,000 from South Carolina Department of Commerce, an EDA grant of $260,000 for infrastructure planning at the East Rail Park, the utility tax credit of approximately $125,000 that was obtained from Duke Energy for the North Greenwood Industrial Park, with yet an additional $75,000 to be paid for future development. Another proof of the ROI to the county is the growth of personal income. Statistics show that the growth in personal per capita income for its citizens of Greenwood is up 18% in the last 7 years. This extra disposable income and the sales tax generated from it has no doubt added handsomely to the county revenues. Lastly, since 2013, there have been $1.2 billion invested by the industries in Greenwood County. Some of the more recent fee in lieu of taxes have not yet begun to be received by the county. There can be no doubt that this too will provide returns far into the future and in multiples of the amount invested by the county in the partnership. Congratulations to Greenwood County for participating in such a lucrative and visible way of returning dollars back to its citizens. I have surely not seen this kind of return in business. The board of the Greenwood Partnership Alliance look forward to actively working with all of our investors, and especially Greenwood County, for years to come. Sincerely, Chip Stockman, Greenwood Partnership Alliance Board. Dear members of council, over the last 20 years, County Bank and Greenwood Capital Associates have invested more than $500,000 in the Greenwood Partnership Alliance on behalf of our more than 170 employees and thousands of customers. We've made this investment because we firmly believe that public-private partnership is the most effective way to promote economic development and educational achievement for all citizens of Greenwood County. And we know our shared success improves the quality of life for all citizens. County Bank and Greenwood Capital are joined by over 100 other private partners, representing thousands of employees who have invested millions of dollars into GPA based on this belief that a public-private partnership is the best way to create the quality of life we desire for our children, our workforce, our retirees, and our vulnerable populations. Greenwood County has realized a significant return in its $300,000 annual investment into GPA over the years. To begin with, this investment is leveraged 300% by other investors in the partnerships, thus creating an all-encompassing strategic approach to economic development. Over the past 6 years, GPA has secured grants of over $1 million for the benefit of Greenwood County. Since just 2013, GPA efforts have brought 1,229 new jobs and more than $1.2 billion in capital investments in Greenwood County. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has presented all people everywhere with a unique challenge. How will we live, learn, work, and thrive in a new environment? Every individual and business in Greenwood County is learning the criticality of innovation, technology, and most importantly, sticking together. Now more than ever, the citizens of Greenwood County need a strong partnership to exist between those who serve the public and those with additional resources and innovation to create growth and find opportunities for the people of Greenwood County. I urge you to consider the invaluable work accomplished by this public-private partnership and to continue the county's investment into GPA, which will be instrumental to the prosperity of all citizens of Greenwood County in the months and years ahead. Sincerely, Thornwell Dunlap, President and CEO, County Bank. Dear Mr. Brown, this letter is in support of the Greenwood Partnership Alliance. The Self Family Foundation, as a founding member of the GPA, has invested through the Foundation for a Greater Greenwood Community more than $1.5 million in the support of workforce development in Greenwood County. We see the continuation of this successful public-private partnership as essential to the continued economic growth of Greenwood County. The accomplishments of the GPA are many. Since 2013, the efforts of the GPA have led to more than $1.4 billion in private investment, creating more than 3,400 jobs. For the last 7 years, Greenwood County has seen an 18% rise in per capita income. Additionally, Greenwood County has been the consistent subject of praise as a top 20 micropolitan by the National Industry Site Selection magazine. This is a remarkable record unmatched by another South Carolina rural community. These accomplishments could not be possible without the combined resources of Greenwood County's public and private sectors. This also could not be accomplished without a well-funded GPA team, which is the strongest I have seen in 20 years of my involvement with the partnership. We urge Greenwood County to remain a strong and valued member of the GPA. Sincerely, Frank J. Wyman III, President. Those are 3 letters that were submitted prior to our meeting and are now part of our record. At this time, we will revert back to our agenda. You have heard the matter at hand, which is a consideration of Greenwood County's membership in the Greenwood Partnership Alliance for FY 2021. Before council begins any discussion among council, I would ask, is there a motion and a second? What is your pleasure regarding this matter?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that Greenwood County remove its membership from the Greenwood Partnership Alliance.
You have heard the motion by Mr. Allison that the Greenwood County remove its membership from the Greenwood Partnership Alliance. You have heard a second by Mr. Moats. And at this time, I would like to read a statement. I think I have tried to make an effort to summarize the comments and concerns that have brought us to this point in time. Before I call for the motion, for the question on the motion, I would like to provide some additional information. First, I want to express my appreciation to you for your presence and your guidance. For years, many of you have invested your time, energy, and finances into making Greenwood better. We are grateful for all that you have done in the past and trust that you will continue to do so in the years to come. It should be noted that Greenwood County, on behalf of its citizens, has and continues to place a priority on economic development. But what is economic development? Economic development is a process of targeted activities and programs that work to improve the economic well-being and the quality of life of Greenwood County by building local wealth, diversifying the economy, creating and retaining jobs, and building the local tax base. It is incumbent upon all of us to remain an attractive community that can stimulate new economic opportunities through all sorts of economic cycles, including the present COVID-19 financial crisis. The question before us tonight is to determine if Greenwood County will remain a contributing member of the Greenwood Partnership Alliance. Presently, the County of Greenwood allocates $300,000 to GPA. This annual amount has been included in the county's budget for many years. Our annual contribution constitutes approximately 30% of GPA's total budget. In addition, we have approved funds for various and sundry economic development projects down through the years. These projects include development of industrial sites, the North Greenwood Industrial Park, the Emerald Rail site, and others. We also invested funds into the Greenwood Genetics Center and the Clemson University's PhD genetics program to the tune of about $2.5 million. We also invested money in the road improvements which were made at Bypass 225. We have also continued our funding of Piedmont Technical College. We are the largest contributor of all of Piedmont Technical College's service counties. We have supported the construction of the Odell Center for Manufacturing Excellence. We have supported the construction of the spec building that is being built at the North Greenwood Industrial Park. And last but not least, the continuous negotiation of tax incentive agreements for existing and new manufacturing and commercial companies. While all of this was happening, the County Council of Greenwood balanced economic incentives against its ability to maintain first responder services, general government services, and the important quality of life programs needed to make this economic engine function. I have said all of that to say this. We have been at the economic development table at all times, working and collaborating in making Greenwood County an attractive place to live, to work, to play, and to grow a business. The county has not accomplished this alone. It is a result of a collective commitment to working together for the good of the whole. Some may think that the matter before council is a recent consideration. It is not. The question of continuing the county's membership in the Greenwood Partnership has been discussed often for various reasons. It could have easily been on our agenda during last year's budget development. A decision was made to continue the county's membership with an expectation that substantive changes would be implemented to address our concerns. It is a fact that $300,000 is a large membership contribution. However, the dollar amount is not the sole reason for this discussion. The real question before us is, should Greenwood County once again authorize a payment of $300,000 to an organization that has exhibited deficient leadership for a number of years? It cannot be said that the board of directors and the executive committee are unaware of county council's concerns. They have been enumerated in detail in appropriate settings. We were hopeful for changes as a result of the executive committee meeting held at Self Regional. However, the action plan of the Self Regional meeting was never discussed at the next executive committee meeting. The basic response to our concerns has been ignore it and it will go away. We have had individual county council members, when making recommendations on GPA matters, publicly chided by other GPA board members. We have been told that those county council members appointed to the GPA board should resign and other council members be appointed. Disparaging remarks about certain county council members have been reported by former employees. County council believes the policy of pay for play as administered is unfair to those professionals, businesses, individuals who choose not to be a contributing member of the GPA. No changes to this policy have been forwarded to address our concerns. Little has been done to address the high turnover rate of the staff at GPA. Long-term employees have noted the stress and tension. The organizational structure of the GPA provides little or no credible process of accountability of the CEO. When we asked the staff, who do you represent, the client or the county, the response by staff was the client. There is a lack of confidence in many recommendations forwarded by staff to County Council. It has been said to clients that Greenwood County Council does not operate like other county councils. That County Manager Toby Chappell and County Attorney Elizabeth Taylor make economic development decisions, and County Council is just a rubber stamp. It seems that comments of this nature surface often. We readily admit that County Council has chosen to handle tax incentive negotiations differently, and we also have assigned a major responsibility of those negotiations to the county manager and to the county attorney. We make no apology for those decisions. As elected officials, we are legally responsible for approving, disapproving, and revising tax incentive agreements. As of tonight, I see no changes in those processes. We have become tired of our policies being challenged by GPA staff. No matter the results of this vote tonight, at some time or another, every county council member under the sound of my voice, individually and collectively, has expressed similar concerns noted in this statement. We believe that there are other investors who have similar concerns as we do. However, in no way are we speaking for any other agency, company, board member, or otherwise. We have not reached out to any other contributing member asking them to consider similar actions. We speak tonight on behalf of this county council. I hope that the above facts ensure you that the actions of tonight are not a knee-jerk reaction. We commit to the existing manufacturing companies that Greenwood County Council intends to continue our partnership with you and support you as we have always. We commit to the residents of Greenwood County that we will continue a program of economic development activities and programs that will improve the economic well-being and quality of life. It is no coincidence that this issue is before us at this time of the year when Greenwood County Council is considering its 2020-2021 budget. There is an uncertainty among elected officials far and wide as to the financial impact of COVID-19. Therefore, we have committed to maintain our present level of taxation in Greenwood County. We believe that we have been good stewards of your county tax revenue, resulting in the ability to use emergency funds, if needed in the future, to maintain an acceptable level of general services. If there are no other comments by county county council members, I will call for the question. I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Allison and a second by Mr. Moats that we withdraw our membership from the Greenwood Partnership Alliance, which would withdraw our total funding for Greenwood Partnership Alliance and thus cancel its membership effective June the 30th. Are there any comments, questions from County Council before we call for the vote? Mr. Lane?
No, sir.
Ms. Moats?
You said it, sir.
Ms. Spencer? Mr. Allison?
No, sir.
Ms. Childs? Mr. Templeton?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Then I would ask the clerk to do a roll call on this motion.
Councilwoman Childs?
Aye.
Councilman Allison?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer? Aye.
I didn't hear you.
What have we voted against this?
We're voting to
Stop funding.
stop funding and withdraw our membership
Aye.
effective June 30th.
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats,
Aye.
Councilman Templeton,
No.
Councilman Lane,
Aye.
Then the motion carries 6-1. Our next item of business on the agenda. Mr. Templeton, do you have anything to say?
Mr. Chairman, I will say what I've said all along during this process. As you know, I have been a strong proponent of the partnership alliance, and I still am. I am fully aware of the frustrations that you guys share, and I share them with you. And I think we have every right to feel the way we do. And I don't think they've been adequately addressed, even though we have tried to get that done. But like I said, I believe the partnership has been very good for Greenwood County. It's been an integral part of this community. And I have optimism, I may be the only one, but I have optimism that those concerns could be resolved if we can get everyone to the table. And what I mean by everyone is I think you are all aware that while the executive committee knows many of our concerns, the full board does not. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Templeton. Our next item of business is to consider the appointment of special tax district commissioners for the following subdivisions. It's been recommended by the county treasurer. Crestview, Brian Willard. District 5, Crestview, Richard Higginbotham. Springwood, Anthony Wardlaw. These, you have information on these individuals in your packet. What is your pleasure?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Ms. Childs.
Second.
Second by Mr. Allison. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Childs,
Aye.
Councilman Allison,
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer, Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats,
Aye.
Councilman Templeton,
Aye.
Councilman Lane,
Aye.
Thank you. Next item of business is Resolution 2020-13, authorizing, approving, and consenting to the addition of property to be acquired by Project Greenby to a joint county industrial park established pursuant to that certain master agreement effective December 31, 2012 between Greenwood County and Newberry County. County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This and the next item on your agenda are the second and third part of the ordinance I was mentioning earlier regarding Eaton. This adds the property, the new property that they're expanding to the multi-county industrial park. It was not already included, so this would add it to the park. And then the next resolution assigns the fee agreement for the current property, the UTC property where they're moving, assigns that to Eaton.
You've heard the explanation by County Attorney Taylor. Any questions of her before we call for a motion and a second? Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Allison, second by Ms. Spencer. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Childs,
Aye.
Councilman Allison,
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer, Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats,
Aye.
Councilman Templeton,
Aye.
Councilman Lane,
Aye.
The motion is passed. Resolution 2020-14, authorizing, approving, and consenting to the assignment and assumption of a fee in lieu of tax agreement from Turbine Component Services, Greenwood LLC to Eaton Corporation. County Attorney.
This is the part assigning the current UTC fee agreement from UTC to Eaton when Eaton acquires the property.
Heard the explanation. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr.
Second,
Oates,
Chairman.
second by Mr. Lane. You ready to vote? Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Childs,
Aye.
Councilman Allison,
Aye.
Councilwoman Spencer, Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Moats,
Aye.
Councilman Templeton,
Aye.
Councilman Lane,
Aye.
Motion has passed. We have already had first reading in title only on 2 of these matters, which is listed on your agenda, it would be ordinance 2020-09. Do you see a need, Madam Attorney, for me to reread those?
Mr. Chairman, I don't remember doing 2020-09. I know we did 2020-10.
Let's do 2020-09 then. Ordinance, this is first reading in title only. 2020-09 to amend the Greenwood County zoning ordinance being ordinance 13-86 so that one parcel of land, 0.97 acres owned by Bubba Harvin located at 208 Bypass 225 South in Greenwood is changes the zoning classifications from R1 single family to C2 general commercial. Mr. Landler, do you want to provide any information on that? This would be first reading in title only.
Sure. This is a request at 208 Bypass 225 South. You may remember this request as of just a year ago, this property was changed in zoning. They are now coming back to you and requesting a commercial zone for this property. It was originally commercial. They requested it to go to residential. It was changed to residential, and now they're wanting to move it to C2 general commercial. The intent is to utilize it for an office.
Is that the residence next to the church?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It used to be an insurance office by Conrad Leah.
Phil, remind me, what was it when we changed it the first time?
The first time it was Mr. Leo's insurance office, and then he utilized it as a residence, and then now he's wanting to change it back, and I believe I have included his information of why he's requesting it to be changed.
So it was his office, that was his house, and now it's gonna be his office again?
A office, not necessarily his. Correct.
He doesn't live there anymore.
Yes, sir.
At one time, that used to be the parsonage for the Wesleyan Methodist Church, and then they sold their church, and then they sold the parsonage to Mr. Leo, and he turned it into an insurance office. And then he turned it into a residence, and now he's going to go back to commercial use.
Correct.
Okay.
Has he sold that property yet? I was under the impression it had been sold.
Not by our records. It still shows it under a corporation.
That is first reading in title only. Also ordinance 2020-11, providing for the adoption for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020 of operating and capital budgets for the operation of the government of Greenwood County. Identification of the sources of anticipated revenue, including taxes, to meet the necessary financial requirements of the budgets adopted. The levy and collection of taxes necessary to meet all county purposes, including payment of the principal and interest on outstanding indebtedness of Greenwood County and bonded indebtedness of the Greenwood Metropolitan District payable during the aforesaid fiscal year, the expenditure of the aforesaid taxes and other revenues coming to Greenwood County during the aforesaid fiscal year. And the establishment of rates and fees and other matters relating to Greenwood County. That is in first reading in title only. Ordinance 2020-2, providing for a levy of taxes for educational purposes in Greenwood County. First reading in title only. Ordinance 2020-13, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax and incentive agreement by and between Greenwood County, South Carolina, and VLUX, acting for itself, one or more affiliates, and other project sponsors, pursuant to which the county shall covenant to accept certain negotiated fees in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to the establishment and the expansion of certain facilities in Greenwood County. The benefits of a multi-county industrial or business park to be made available to the company, and certain special source revenue credits in connection with the project. This is first reading in title only. Anything that you would want, I think we have discussed this in other administrative meetings. If council has any questions, we can ask the staff. That's in first reading in title only. Have I omitted anything? Then we have district reports. Ms. Childs?
I'd just like to take this opportunity to just thank our treasurer and our county manager and our attorney and our clerk, the council, for all their hard work that they've done for us. And then to say to thank, the county for my 20-year pen. It's been longer than 20 years, but 20 years will do for now. And, I just want to say thank you for that. It has been, a joy for me to be here representing District 1. Thank you all so much.
Mr. Allison?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say, first of all, I want to thank the gentleman who condolences to my family. However, I did not lose a brother. I lost an uncle. Uncle of mine passed away. He was 82 years old. Leonard Allison, who had been in Greenwood all of his life.
Transmission man.
Transmission man was
down on Foundry Road.
Foundry Road for many, many years. 82 years old, had a heart attack a week or so ago, and just could not recover, and he passed away. But he wasn't my brother; it was my uncle. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. But thank you, and we continue to pray for that family. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. Ms. Spencer?
No additional report for 3, but I do want to thank Mr. Lane for supplying my church and his district with some sanitizing and some masks and things for the congregation. Thank you.
My pleasure. Mr. Moats?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to express my appreciation for your leadership tonight. Certainly a difficult time for us, a difficult time for you, I know, and I thank you for your leadership. I will not say it, but we depend on you. We thank you so much.
Touche.
And I think all of the county is better because of your leadership, and I thank you for that, and that is my report.
Mr. Lane? Mr. Templeton?
No report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Lane?
I want to echo Pastor Moses' remarks. Chairman, this probably tonight has been the culmination of one of the most difficult issues I've ever managed in my service to Greenwood County, but I think you've done an excellent job in representing us and speaking for us. On a bright note, I do want to give a shout out to Ware Shoals School District 51. Their, I will call him Security Chief, Eric Cox, who many of you know, who served on South Carolina Highway Patrol for many years before taking over as Security Director of the school district. Eric was recently recognized with a national award, National Life Changer Award. He was selected from over 800 nominations for this Life Changer Award, and that certainly was a great recognition for Eric. We're really proud for him and proud for Dr. Faye Sprouse and the school district. So that ends my report, Chairman. Thank you.
The library will be closing in 15 minutes. Please make sure all materials have been checked out in the circulation desk, and don't forget to pay for any copies. These will automatically shut down in 10 minutes.
As a point of information, it has been verified to me that the library director, Prudence Taylor, has submitted her intentions to retire. It is my understanding, in talking to only one board member, or one trustee, I think is their real term, library trustee, that there is a process, whether it's beginning or intended to begin, to replace Prudence, I would assume July 1. If you are of the mind, as I have been, I talked to a trustee and expressed my thoughts about how this should be done and the importance of them doing it the best that they can do. Meaning that I recommended they go out for public applications and not just only consider someone with inside. I say all of that not to criticize the trustees, but to say, if you have like concerns about this process, I'm sure that each of us knows at least one individual on that board, and I would think you should call them and say, as I have, this is what I think. We do not have the authority to appoint. We do not have authority to tell them what to do, but we can certainly give them our opinion. So, I think this is a critical position in Greenwood County. I think it is a great opportunity, for, the library system here in the county. So, I make that known to you so that, if you choose to reach out to the trustees, you can. The second thing is, before this meeting today at 4 o'clock, I went by the city shop, to the equipment maintenance shop. And there's a young man down there by the name of Mike Hodge, who is a mechanic. He was hired while I was city manager and has been there probably 20 or 25 years. It was Mike's wife that was hit in the middle of Highway 25 South and was killed immediately. I ask you to keep him, his family, his children in your prayers in the coming weeks. He has to be dealing with this. And I understand that Mike observed her being hit. So, my heart goes out to people like that. He's been a hard worker down there for the city all these years. And, remember Mike, good people, good Greenwood County people. Such a tragedy. The other thing is, what I did tonight was one of the hardest things I have ever done. But I tried to tell the truth. I tried to say what I think you would have said if you were sitting in my position. I mean, no ill harm to anyone. But I think what we did tonight has the potential for being a very positive venture in the coming months and years. So I appreciate what everybody's done. And if anybody criticizes my statement, let it be known that none of you had anything to do with it. So you can say it was all him, but I do appreciate what you've done. Mr. Manager, do you have a report?
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, members of council, I'll be contacting you all later in the week. We will need to discuss a possible virtual meeting for next Tuesday to cover one significant item and maybe a couple minor items, mainly Project Green Bee. They're on a schedule that needs to be done by the end of the month. So to accomplish that, I will likely be calling you all about a virtual meeting next Tuesday. That's my report.
Madam Attorney?
No report.
Madam Clerk?
No report.
Mr. Allison, do you want to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, let me say, I want to echo the other members of council. This was a hard decision tonight for us to make, and I assure the people of Greenwood County that this council wants the best for what is for the best of the people we represent. But let me say, as one individual of council, I agree with everything you said. It has been echoed week after week, month after month, year after year. We have discussed these issues. And no, you're not the only one that feels that way, and you're not alone in it. This was a decision.
We'll be closing in 10 minutes. Please make sure all materials have been checked out of the circulation desk. Computers will automatically shut down in 5 minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a need for executive session? Would you give us the items?
Yes, I will, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of council, we need to enter into executive session for two matters. One is an economic development project known as Project Wood, and the second is the receipt of legal advice that pertains to potential litigation involving a tax dispute.
You have heard the two matters, and I would add on to the county manager's explanation that he tells me this should be short and sweet. So we will take a vote
Yeah,
to
we've
go
heard
into
that
executive
before.
session, and we tack on that those two words, short and sweet. So do I have a motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Spencer. I have three motions, so make your choice. All in favor? And we will go into executive session, and we will short and
You
sweet.
need a
right
voice
back
vote
out.
for that, Chairman?
Sir?
You need a voice vote for that since
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we are going to need about 10 minutes to set up the room. So
Yeah, okay.
indulge us.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Got any news?
You didn't talk to us individually, but you had your